tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Tammy Flowers, and I am a stay-at-home mom to these two boys. This is my oldest, Levi, and youngest, Ezra. I homeschool them, and before becoming a mom, I was a nurse. I worked in labor and delivery and also a certified nurse midwife. And then more recently, this past summer, just became certified as a women's health nurse practitioner.
Okay, so we're focusing on fasting. Tell me about fasting. What is fasting all about?
Fasting could be a lot of different things. Fasting is actually something that we have used personally, especially myself, in healing from Lyme disease. We use a lot of different things, but all three of us got sick from Lyme disease almost 7 years ago now, and it was a long road to recovery. And some of the things that we did to get better included eliminating things from our diet and our environment and our lifestyle that are toxic or inflammatory. And so that's one type of fasting that you could do, is to identify some things in your life, in your environment that are known to be toxic or cause cancer or known to be inflammatory, and just take a break from them or find alternatives, like alternative healthcare products or cleaning products. But more specifically, what we focused on was in our food and our diet, eliminating food additives and synthetic and artificial substances that God never created or intended for us to take into our bodies. And so things like artificial sweeteners, artificial flavorings and colorings, MSG, high fructose corn syrup and corn solids, processed sugars, those types of things that are very, very inflammatory to our bodies and can contribute to the burden of disease in our society.
Obviously, you've had some positive effects. What would you say was the most positive effect of some of the fasts that you've done?
More energy.
Okay.
More clear thinking. After a more prolonged fast, like you could do a short fast, like 1 day, or I probably wouldn't recommend more than 2 or 3 days if you're just doing like a liquid fast. But for a more prolonged, like 3 or 4 day fast, at the end I feel just more in tune with God. Even the food that we generally eat, the standard American diet, creates a lot of inflammation that also affects the brain. There's a big connection between the gut and the brain, and of course our brain and our consciousness is where God communicates with us, and so what we eat definitely affects how we can connect with God sometimes too. So fasting is one thing we can do.
Absolutely. Okay. Tammy, tell us the different kinds of fasts.
I guess for if you're going to focus on food and what you take into your body and fasting in that way, you could do a 1 day liquid fast where you're either just drinking water or you're drinking clear liquids like teas and juices. If that's too much for you, you could try just an intermittent fast where you eat every day, but you eat in a window of time, a 6 to 8 hour window, and then you have a 16 to 18 hour fast. And during that 16 to 18 hour fast, it gives the body a chance to rest and rejuvenate, because digestion really does take a lot of energy, and our immune system is also very involved in digestion. And so during that rest period, it frees up the resources of your immune system to then focus on other things that will help your body to detoxify and heal. One practice that I've tried to incorporate into my life is to just incorporate fasting into a lifestyle where I fast at times, especially when I'm feeling more drained or tired. I'll start fasting 1 day a week, 2 to 3 days a month, and then twice a year, every 6 months, I'll do maybe a little bit longer fast. Those longer fasts, I don't do just water fasts. I'll do include some things that have some calories in them, like juices and teas where I've sweetened with some natural sweeteners.
There's some other fasts besides food fasts. What might those be?
Yes. So we can choose to eliminate, it's good to do some self-reflection and evaluate what your priorities are, and then what your daily tasks or activities are, and are they in line? Are you giving your time to the things that are most important to you? And if you're not, then what are those things? What are those things that are distracting you from the things that are most important? Those are the things that you should try to fast from. And you can enter this decision-making process prayerfully and asking God, telling Him you're willing to surrender those things, because often those things become idols in our lives. If they are distracting us from our ability to connect with God and connect with those most important to us, then they've become idols, and God wants to tear those things down. And so enter this process prayerfully and ask God to guide you, and He will. The Holy Spirit is gentle, and He's faithful, and when we ask Him with a willing heart, He'll show us those things that God wants to set us free from.
Amen.
So it could be media, social media, TV, entertainment, music. Even sometimes some relationships can be either toxic or codependent relationships, and you might just need to take a break, or not even necessarily a break, but then instead of going to and running to so-and-so with all your problems, choose to turn to God and focus on Him and what He wants to give you.
Okay. Tammy, share with us what we have here.
Okay. So this is one of the things that we do on a fairly regular basis, not every day, to get our day started. We'll get up and we'll have, basically a lemonade or lemon water. And this lemon is really good for detoxifying. It assists the liver in the detoxification processes, and it's just cleansing and refreshing. So, and the boys enjoy it. So we're going to show you real quick what we do in the mornings. There's two options here. Levi's going to show you the fresh lemon squeezed option. So we just okay. So if you have the time, each morning you can squeeze about half a lemon per 8 ounces of water. It comes out to about a tablespoon or two, and add that to your water. You could also put it in a water bottle and sip on that throughout the day. But we just do it first thing in the morning. Okay, let's just do the one. Yeah. All right, so we just do like 1 tablespoon of the lemon in the water, and then we sweeten it up a little bit with a little bit of pure organic maple syrup. Okay, so then we'll also add a tablespoon approximately. You could do 1 to 3 teaspoons to the water and mix that up. So another alternative I started to share is the Italian volcano. The boys like this. They do this. It's quick and easy to do, and just takes a lot less time. So do the other one. All right. All right, stir it up and drink it down. So that's one great way to start out your day, and to practice to incorporate into a fasting routine. Okay, another thing that we do a lot of are teas. And there's all kinds of teas out there. Some can be used for medicinal purposes. We just use them as part of our diet. They're all food grade herbs. And so I have some examples here. What's one of your favorites?
My favorite is, two of my favorites are mango, ginger, and turmeric together, and then peppermint and chamomile.
The chamomile. And you also like the chai ribose, right?
Chai ribose.
Yeah, which is a caffeine-free
Yeah.
tea that will sometimes put some coconut cream in there. Yeah,
Creamer.
some creamer and a little sweetener for kind of a warm comfort drink. But But yes, turmeric and ginger are very anti-inflammatory, have a lot of health benefits, and it's just one more thing that you can use while you're fasting, and every day actually, not just while you're fasting. And that's one thing we want to encourage, that you adopt some of these practices not just during this fasting period, but these are things that you can incorporate into your lifestyle long term that will have benefits for you long term, lifelong. Okay, so making tea is usually pretty simple. I usually just warm up water in our kettle here, and I don't use tap water. Our tap water is city water, and who knows all the contaminants and toxins and things like chlorine and stuff like that are in our water. And so that's one of the first things that we did after we got sick with Lyme disease, is to get a really good quality water filter. And after doing some research and talking to some health practitioners, we decided on the Berkey water filter. There's a lot of other ones out there. That's just the one that we decided on. It's very simple. It's gravity fed. We just fill it up at the top, and it filters through a charcoal filter into the bottom and eliminates like 99.9% of or 999% of microbes and toxins and chemicals and germs. Yep. So that's what I use. I use the filtered water in all of my cooking and anything that we drink or take into our bodies. So that's one thing we do in the morning too, isn't it? We pick our tea and make a big thermos of tea that the boys drink throughout the day, or we all drink throughout the day. The tea bags are convenient. Even better, if you have the time and resources, is to go to a health food store and buy some bulk teas. This one's nettle, and that has a lot of really good anti-inflammatory properties. It's also good for people that have allergies. So, and we usually sweeten our teas with either maple syrup or raw honey, organic honey. There's other sweeteners like stevia and agave that some people use. We never really got into those, but those would be decent options as well for you.
Tammy, this really looks good. What do we got going here?
Okay, so this is going to be a vegetable broth. It's very healing, very nutritious, and very simple and light. It's one of the things that we'll do in the evenings if we're doing an intermittent fast and our last meal of the day is mid-late afternoon. Then this is something that we'll have in the evenings towards bedtime if there's some lingering hunger pains, or just something that's really nutritious and warming and not taxing on the digestive system. So usually I just use whatever I have left in the fridge, but today I've measured some things out, and we'll just dump everything in the pot and then put it on to cook for about an hour. And then I use the strainer basket, so it's easy to strain the vegetables out. And then what's left is the broth that you'll drink if you're doing like a clear liquid fast, or if you're doing just the intermittent fasting, you want something light in the evening. All right, so that's about 1.5 cups or half a pound of carrots, roughly chopped. And this is also about 1.5 cups or half a pound of celery. This is about 2 cups, but also about half a pound of cabbage. That's all right. You got that. And that's onion, about 1.5 cups and half a pound of onion. Okay, so those are the basics to the vegetable broth that I usually do. There's some extras here that we're going to add in some of, but just some options. I found these last night at the grocery store. It's dandelion greens, extremely nutritious, really good for detoxification and good for the liver. And then parsley as well is good for detoxing. We're going to rough chop some garlic, probably 3 or 4 cloves of garlic to go in there. There's turmeric root and ginger root. We'll put some of each of those, probably about 1 inch of each of those, either rough chopped or grated, and put in. And then for seasonings, I usually throw in 2 or 3 bay leaves. And this is a warming element. It's optional, of course. They're little red peppers. I put in, it doesn't give a whole lot of heat to the broth unless you eat one, but we're going to strain them out. So we'll do that. And then,
There's onions,
yes, onions, which we chopped and put in there.
which I just
And then
peeled.
for the other seasonings here, we've got some fresh turmeric root, or I would probably put about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of turmeric powder, about 2 to 3 teaspoons of onion powder, and about a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then optional as well as some cayenne pepper to give a little
And
bit
then there's
added
garlic?
warmth. Yes, garlic. And then this is some baby kale as well, has really high nutritional
And
value,
cabbage.
antioxidant properties, yes. So like cabbage and onion and garlic, and then all the cruciferous vegetables like, like cabbage and kale are really high in glutathione. Glutathione is one of our body's antioxidants that is even more abundant, I think, than vitamin C. Okay, so we're going to get this on to cook. I'll put about 8 cups of water. Do you want to do that, Levi? 8 cups, and I've pre-boiled the water in my kettle. We'll put 8 cups of water in with all those seasonings, and then let that simmer for about an hour. And after that, we'll have a really nice broth. The vegetables that are left over, I save for the next day. And I usually make either a lentil soup or a minestrone soup out of the vegetables, so the vegetables don't go to waste.
So now we've got our vegetables, we've got our water in here, and we're going to put it on the stove, and we'll be right back to show you the end product.
Okay, so we are back with the vegetable broth, and we ended up cooking it without the basket, and we just, once it was done cooking, we poured it into the basket in the other pot. So we have the reserved vegetables right here that I will use to make probably my minestrone soup or lentil soup later this evening. And then we've got the broth here left in the pot,
Okay, Ezra, would you
which
like
is
to dip
ready
some?
to taste. Now, sometimes I will add a little bit of oil. This is avocado oil. Do you want a little bit of oil in there? You can mix it in. This
There
is
you
again
go.
optional, maybe a teaspoon to a tablespoon. And I did use about 2 teaspoons of salt in there. Again, that is optional. And then in my broth, I like to put some cayenne again as well.
She likes hot stuff with everything on it.
Oh. Would you like to taste some of this, Ezra?
Yes, please.
All right. And how about Mommy? Is Mommy going
Sure,
to try
I'll taste
some?
it.
And so you would use this like in the evening.
Usually, yeah, in the evening as you can drink it all through the day if you want, but we tend to do it more in the evening. You can make a big batch of it like this and then refrigerate it, so you'll have it for 3 or 4 days. It'll keep probably 3 or 4 days refrigerated, and warm it back up or drink it cold, however you like.
All right. Great.
Okay.
Does anybody else want to taste it?
It looks to me like we're about to make some juice. This looks interesting.
Yes.
All right.
Juicing is definitely another one of the things that we've used in our healing journey. It's, again, easily digestible. It takes out all the fiber, which are good things, but in times when we do want to give our digestive system a break, then we can still get a lot of the nutrients from the juice, and it's almost like getting a blood transfusion. It gets absorbed directly into your bloodstream. And doesn't tax the digestive system with breaking down all the fibers and everything. So there's a lot of different ways of juicing and many different kinds of juicers. This one is one of the masticating type of juicers where it has an auger inside that turns and crushes up and extracts the juice. From the little bit of research that I did, that's the preferable type because it doesn't have all the fast spinning parts that heats up the juice and which can kill some of the enzymes. And enzymes, of course, are desirable properties in our juice.
And they're
Okay.
very important.
Yes, yes. So I like my food to taste good, and I'm not one for vegetable juices. And so when we juice, we add some fruit in. to sweeten it a little bit, and it makes it palatable, so my boys will drink it as well. So they get the benefits, right? Okay, so the first juice that we're going to do is just really simple. You can add really anything to your juices. It's up to you. But we usually start with something that has high water content. So for this one, we're going to use pineapple. Others, you can use melon or cucumber. Celery also is really high water content. Apples as well. Yep.
Carrots.
Yep. So the pineapples weren't ripe, so we bought some that were already pre-cut for us, which was convenient. But we usually use just the fresh ones that we ripen at home. All right. So as I chop, do you want to start juicing?
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So Tammy, we talked about for juicing the cores too. You said there's some benefits to the core.
Yeah, I believe in the core of the pineapple has a higher concentration of a property called quercetin, which is also, I believe, an antioxidant. I know it can help with respiratory issues and has anti-inflammatory properties. We've used in the past when the boys get coughs, sometimes they'll eat a bowl of frozen pineapple, and sometimes that will help calm their cough down.
Do you ever take the pulp and use it for anything?
Good question. We have tried to compost. We haven't. It's
Yes.
something I aspire to do, but it would be excellent to use in composting and then recycling it in your gardening. We used to have a worm farm, and the worms loved the pulp. It was a good food for them. And then the worms would turn it into compost, essentially,
Okay.
compost tea. So the other thing we're going to use in here are beets, and beets are one of the, I think, like super vegetables.
And I think they're way too purple and they get sticky on your hands.
But purple's my favorite color.
Green is mine.
Is it green is yours?
Yeah, and so most of this stuff is green. So my favorite color is green.
Okay. And I see the beets are raw.
The beets are raw. Yep.
Everything's
Everything's going to be raw that we juice. Yes.
Yep.
Yep. So when I juice, I normally, if I have a full pineapple, I'll probably do about half a pineapple and one beet. And you can keep it as simple as that. The beets have a really high concentration of, and I can't remember the property, but it helps to boost NOS, or nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps to improve circulation and helps to stabilize cell membranes so that you can have more efficient use of energy. There's a lot of studies on a few different vegetables. It's really high in a lot of leafy greens as well, but beets are on the top list of being high in the nitric oxide, or to boost nitric oxide. When I've in the past been training for a race or run, or this summer I did a century bike ride, I made this juice and drank it beforehand and drank it throughout my ride as well. Took some with me to help with that. A lot of athletes will have higher performance. Studies have shown a higher performance, less oxygen utilization or consumption, and just better performance overall with drinking a cup of beet juice within a couple hours before their race or event.
I think we were going to talk about different things that you could make to juice. So
Yes.
this one, yeah, we have pineapple and we have beets.
Yep. So you could add really anything to this to make it like a green juice. You can add dandelion greens, parsley, romaine, and kale. Those are all deep, dark green leafy vegetables that, again, are really high in nutrients and will help to boost the nitric oxide. And then, like when we have another juice that we do which we may demonstrate as well, but we'll use melon and a green apple and carrots, and then sometimes a few of the leafy greens, and we'll put ginger in there. And it almost tastes like it's got the sweetness from the green apple and the melon, and then with the ginger in there, it almost tastes like a ginger beer kind of flavor. So,
All right.
all right, are we almost done here?
Yep. Almost done.
Excellent. Do you want to put any of these other greens in there this time?
Maybe apples?
Well, we can do the apple with the melon and the ginger later.
Okay, maybe cucumbers.
You want to put like, some cucumber in?
Yeah.
All right. We'll do that, and then we'll taste it. Okay.
Can I put this in?
The cucumber has a, and the melon as well has a diuretic effect
And a lot of water.
and cleansing effect. Yes, very high in water. Okay, you can shut it off. Now, sometimes depending on how well your juicer works and strains, sometimes you might want to strain the juice before you drink it if you're trying to avoid all fiber in your diet or during your fast. So we will help this up and taste it in a moment.
All right, this is the next juice that we have.
Okay.
Tell us about, now this is the last one we did.
Right. So it's like the pineapple beet punch. This one might have a little bit more beet in it than I usually put in. It might have a little bit more earthy flavor, not quite as sweet. Is it still okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's actually really, it tastes like very sour lemon.
All right.
All right. So then we'll make one more real quick here. This one we're going to do.
But I still like it.
Good. Excellent.
Good job.
Drink it down. And then we'll get going to this other one, which is kind of like a apple melon ginger, I don't know, ginger beer,
Okay.
something like that. Okay, so we're going to start juicing. We're just going to do a couple of stalks of celery. We'll do the bulk of the juice will be the melon juice. So it'll be probably about a half of a small melon or a third of a medium-sized melon like this one. And then we did one large carrot. It was quite a large carrot, so we just did one of those. And one large green apple. I just peel. The one thing that I do peel is the melon. And it's pretty soft and easy for the juicer to get through, so I don't really chop that up a whole lot. The carrots are harder, so maybe I should have chopped those a little smaller even. Do you need some muscle?
Nah, I'm okay.
Okay. To add a little bit of anti-inflammatory properties, we put in a little bit of ginger, like I said, about a thumb-sized piece. And I just wash it and throw that directly in. I might chop it a little bit. And then we'll put in a few greens. Romaine lettuce is a very mild tasting leafy green, so that's what we'll use in this one. Some of the others, like the dandelion and parsley and kale, have a lot stronger flavor. So it just depends on your own palate. You got it? All right. And we will help this up and taste that again here in a moment.
Tammy, I'm looking forward to this recipe. It's a turmeric tea, also called golden milk, which to me sounds like a great anti-inflammatory.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
yeah, tell us about this. This looks fantastic.
Okay. So this is a tea that you can find recipes for, and there's different variations of it, but it's been drunk for years in other countries, mostly probably Asian or Eastern countries. I believe in Okinawa is a drink that's regularly used, and that's one of the blue zones, if that says anything. What I'm going to do is just use 4 cups. I think I have an assistant coming. Would you like to help me?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll wash my hands.
Okay, good idea. Okay, so we're going to do a double recipe, so there's enough for everybody here and our cameramen and women to sample. So do you want to pour 4 cups? We're going to measure out 4 cups of
This is heavy.
a non-dairy milk, and it
Tell
can
me
be,
when to stop.
yep, slow down. Okay, a little bit more. And any non-dairy milk, but for this particular drink, probably one that has a little bit more fat content, because it's actually the
Where do I put this?
right in here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got this.
Good job. Okay, set that over there.
Tastes good.
It's actually the oils or the fat content that helps with the absorption and bioavailability of turmeric. So, but this one's a lower calorie, that's what I had on hand. So I'm going to add a little bit of fat, higher fat content milk to that. We're going to do maybe half a cup of coconut milk.
Yep.
And that'll give it just a little bit extra richness and creaminess.
Okay.
It's a great comfort drink to drink at the end of the day. It's soothing and relaxing.
Lots of types of milk in it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it with, this was almond milk and coconut milk. You can make it with oat milk or soy milk. Okay, we'll set those over there. Okay, so then you can, for your the spices or seasonings that go in there,
No, some of the milk. What's on there?
you can use either the fresh root, this is a turmeric root, and ginger root, and I would probably use about a teaspoon of grated ginger and maybe 2 teaspoons of grated turmeric root for that. But just for ease, we're going to use powdered. So let's do 2 teaspoons of turmeric.
Okay. Okay, I can dump it in.
Yep.
Is this 2?
That's
Yeah.
1 and probably a half. We'll do a little bit more. Okay, there.
I need
And
to stir it.
we'll do 1 teaspoon of cinnamon.
Cinnamon sounds sweet.
Okay,
Sounds sweet. Cinnamon.
there you go.
I'd probably leave it exactly 1.
And then we're almost out of the ginger, but with this amount, we'd probably do about a half teaspoon of ginger powder, or since I don't have enough of that, I might grate a little bit of
Ginger?
fresh raw ginger into there when we put it on the stove.
I can.
Okay. So, and then to sweeten, you can either use honey or maple syrup.
Alright, let's do honey.
Honey this time?
Yeah, we usually do syrup.
Yep, you're
syrup,
right.
So I want to do
Let's do about a tablespoon.
honey. And it comes out slower, so it's better for
You can
me.
do just a couple teaspoons or
You
1
can
to 2
squeeze it.
tablespoons. But it's just lightly
Okay, I'm
sweetened
good.
usually.
Wow, that just sunk right to the
Okay.
bottom. Mommy, it sunk right to the bottom.
Yep. Okay, and then we'll whisk this up and put it on the stove and bring it just so that it's hot. It's a warm drink. You don't have to boil it or anything. Okay.
Okay, this looks like a little more substantial way to fast. Share with me.
Yes. So this is a recipe called Bieler's Broth. It's also a very healing soup that we're going to cook and puree so that you're actually taking in solid food in a pureed form. But it's also just really easy on the digestive tract and very simple. So you can even Google, Dr. Google, right? You can Google Bieler's Broth, it's B-I-E-L-E-R. and it's been around for years. There was a doctor, his name's Dr. Henry Bieler, I guess back in the 60s, 70s, that wrote a book called Food is Your Best Medicine. I just picked this up last week, and it definitely has some good information in there, but of course it was back in the 60s. And so I don't necessarily advocate everything that he's written, but his broth is fairly well known. So the basic recipe that you'll find in most, and there's variations of it, but the basic recipe is about 4 stalks of celery, 3 to 4 zucchini, a whole bunch of parsley, and about a pound of green beans. Just for simplicity, I use frozen green beans, and because they stay fresh. And then these were small celery, so I used a few more of those. That's the basic recipe, nothing, and then 4 cups of water. And then you bring that to a boil and let simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes, just until the vegetables are tender, and then you blend it and puree it. You can either blend it in like a regular blender, or you can use an immersion type blender like this one. I prefer in a regular blender because it blends it, really smooth. For my family, we add a few other things to it, like a little bit of salt, maybe about a half teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt, 1 to 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and then sometimes I'll also add whole onion, garlic, and cabbage. These, as I talked about in another recipe, the onion, garlic, and cabbage are really high in glutathione. Some people don't tolerate those as well, and so that's why the basic recipe is so simple. All of these, parsley, celery, zucchini, green beans, are vegetables that most people tolerate really well and have, rarely do they have any sensitivities to them. Okay, so you just really rough chop each of these vegetables and put them in the water. And there's a couple different ways you could do it on the stove top, like I said, 10 to 15 minutes. Or what I did this morning, I went ahead and used my Instant Pot. It's an electric pressure cooker. And I just let it come to pressure for 1 minute. And then after about a minute or two, I did a quick release on the pressure, because all of these vegetables cook really quickly. And so you don't need them to be at high pressure for very long. So you want to go ahead and release the pressure on that. And then I blended it all up. And so it's ready. I pureed it. I did batch puree in my blender, my Vitamix, and it is ready. Ooh. Now in mine, I did put some salt and onion powder. And sometimes I like to add, again, this is optional, a little bit of oil at the end. It can help give a little bit of satiety, but again, that's optional.
So did you use the immersion blender on this or in the other blender?
I tried with the immersion blender, and it didn't get it as creamy as I like. It still felt chunky.
Yep.
And so I prefer it creamier. One of the reasons is it's also easier on the digestive tract, easier to digest.
Right, because it's smoother.
It's smoother. You don't have to chew it. It's more of the nutrients are available more immediately, and so.
Okay, let's give it a taste. I'll bet you're ready for some. You want some? Come on, come on. Here comes our tasters.
I think we've got some hungry boys.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Ezra, you could add cayenne pepper if you like hot to this. All right. Well, the celery has natural salts. A lot of these vegetables have natural salts.
That's right. Celery is, especially if you dry it and grind it, celery is a great salt substitute. Mm-hmm. Yep. You ready? There you go. All right.
And then this is, something that if you're just wanting to give your digestive tract a break, but you can't do a full fast, you could use this for a lunch or a dinner meal replacement. It can keep in the fridge for a couple days, 2-3 days. And some people, while they're doing like a detox or cleanse, will have a bowl full or cup full of this every day for a prolonged period of time, a week or 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. So, Tammy, I see this as the next level, possibly.
Right. If you're not going to do just a complete water or juice fast, then one of the things that you can add in is a smoothie. And we do lots of smoothies in our house because we generally don't do much sweets or desserts. So this is our treat. And this is, I think, one of the boys' favorites. It's a banana, mango, pineapple smoothie. Okay, so it's really pretty simple. We just do one frozen banana. I'm going to reach in, break it up, and put it in there. And then you can adjust this to, of course, your taste and the size of your household. But it usually works out, and it's not an exact science, but it usually works out to about 2 cups of mango. And if I can get this open, 2 cups of pineapple. Okay.
I don't think
We might have to smash it down. Okay. That'll be okay. Okay. And then your choice of, depending on if you're trying to go lower calorie, you can just do water and ice. Or you can do a low calorie
almond milk.
right? Dairy-free almond milk of just your choice. So we have one of the lower calorie unsweetened vanilla. Is that vanilla? Yep.
Yeah.
Almond milk, and we're going to do about a cup. Okay. Can you pour 1 cup in there?
The big one?
Yep. And again, you can adjust the amount of liquid that you put in here based on how thick or how thin you want your smoothie. We tend to like ours thicker, more like a sorbet. Okay. So another option, if you want it extra creamy, which I opened it, but we probably won't go ahead and use it, but this is some organic coconut milk, and it makes it really, did you say use it? It makes it really creamy, extra rich. But again, if you're watching calories, then this is not something you would want to do. So, but you want to put a little bit of that in there too?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I can.
We'll do about a 1/4 cup maybe. There you go.
Here. You don't need to hold it.
Yep.
For me.
Now the next 2 ingredients are completely optional. They're not necessary. This is yummy just like that. But for, that's good. Just for extra little sweetness and flavor, we sometimes do about a 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. And my teaspoon, here we go. You want to do that? A vanilla extract. And about a tablespoon of maple syrup.
Okay.
You got it?
Good. I can nump it. Oh.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Okay, let's get the lid on there and.
Start blending.
Okay, and with it as thick as it is, it usually needs the little tamper. All right, you got it? All right, great.
Let's see.
Who gets this?
Me. Of course.
All right. So we made one of these last night, and I froze it just to see how it turned out. And of course, it's pretty hard when I first took it out of the freezer this morning. But after sitting for a little bit, it is kind of more of a sorbet texture, consistency. All right.
You know what I see here is the boys helped you make this.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys enjoy helping Mom in the kitchen?
Yes.
Yeah. So get your family involved.